Welcome to the 2021 MBU Football Coaches Show with Coach B. And we're very excited to kick off our new spring broadcast. I know that word spring, as you know, it's been COVID-19, and the Spartans play this Saturday at 11 o'clock. And with that, let's bring in Coach B right away. And Coach, first question I have for you is, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. How are you? I'm, waiting for the show to start. You had that pretty little countdown. It looked like the snow, but the snow was going up rather than down. I wish it did that around here. I wish the snow just kind of started disappearing. It'd be a lot better.
Well, we're kind of hoping that's going to be the case. And in case you didn't know, we have actually a special guest with us. And this special guest is actually no stranger to opening days, because here we go in our files. Look at that. That handsome gentleman on the left is Brad Cygan. For those of you who may not know who he is, Brad was our director of athletics for 7 years with communications from May of 2011 to May 2018. And we have Brad joining us on the broadcast. And with that, welcome, Brad.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate being here, and looking forward to the game this weekend. Finally get a chance to get into that stadium. We've been talking about that for, I think it was like my first year we were talking about that stadium, and now we're finally getting into it. This is going to be exciting.
It is. And so, Coach, I'm going to actually let Brad fire off the first question, because there's a lot of questions. As you know, It's been a long time since you played your last game back in November of 2019, correct?
Yeah. It's weird to say, isn't it? But yeah. That's right.
Yeah. Well, Coach, first of all, great to talk to you again. I think we'd be remiss if we didn't start with the elephant in the room of COVID. Obviously, it's playing tricks on everything. I can't imagine what your experience has been like with scheduling during COVID. Tell us a little bit about your experience overall and how it's affecting your schedule and all the changes you may have had to make so far.
Well, I mean, you know this a lot, because being at the NAI office, you're sending out stuff all the time of updates and changes. And the ultimate thing is, in this pandemic and this time, you just are flexible. You can focus and control what you can control. And there's been a lot of changes. We've got to screen guys in. We've got to wear masks. We've got to do all those things. We go from a 11-game schedule to a 7-game schedule. The NAI has been great about the rule changes that have helped us and helped our student athletes, in the sense that, basically this is a free season for them in regards to eligibility, which is a big deal. Originally, when the NAI first came out with rules, it was like, okay, you can play 5 games, but anything more than that, then they're going to get charged a season. And then they went back and changed that. And I give credit to everybody in your office at the national level for just kind of staying up to date with what other leagues are doing, what the NCAA Division II and Division III are doing, and really making those adjustments. I think one of the things that we all have to be aware of is that we don't know the answers, and it's okay to adjust, and we've been with that in these couple months, that we've been in practice getting ready for today, is just, being flexible. The players understand that. And, but it's been challenging, but we've shown, and I think other levels have shown, D1, NFL, a lot of D2s, NAIs that played in the fall, is that football and sports can happen, and it can be done in a safe way. And we just got to make sure that we're detailed in that.
So, Coach, with that, here's my question. And what are your expectations for this weekend's, season opener? Not to mention, also, it's the first game ever played at Spartan Field.
Well, the only expectation that I know that I can really hang my hat on is that it's going to be really cold. It'll be by far the coldest game that we ever played. And that, outside of that, I don't know. I think we've got high expectations as a team. The guys have been putting in a lot of good work. Their focus level is high. I think they're excited to finally get back out there and play, because, like you said, it's been over a year since they've played in a game. They're getting definitely tired of playing against each other. But, with the weather and we've got some snow on the field, and, it's not, that snow's not all going to get cleared off. We'll do the best we can in getting, lines and that kind of stuff, hash marks. visible, but with the weather it is, nothing's melting, and so we're really focusing on the details. We've got to be take good care of the football. I think that's number one. You look at the first couple mid-states games that happened last weekend, and I think one game there was 6 turnovers combined, and in the other game there was a special teams mistake and a turnover that led to points there. So I think on both sides it's going to be a field position game and take care of the football game.
Coach, you look at this season, Mid-States Midwest is I would say it's kind of wide open right now. St. Xavier won last year. They were 9-3. They're pretty much looking like they're probably going to be close to the top of the division anyway. But at this point, everyone else is pretty much fighting for that second spot, maybe even a chance to overtake St. Xavier. How do you see the season playing out in the Mid-States, Midwest? And talk a little bit about your opponent this week. Olivet Nazarene was that number 2 team. So this is a big opportunity for your team this weekend.
Yeah, no doubt. That's something we brought up. I don't know how much I put into the coaches' polls, but I think
we just run the polls out of our office, Jason. So no big deal.
Yeah. I mean, those preseason polls are just so it's nobody really knows who's returning. Nobody, we're just going off of last year. And I think, but you're right. I think you hit the nail on the head. There is a lot of parity in the Midwest, which is great. I think when we were on the East, it's a little more daunting. You have the St. Francis and Marians that are right there. Concordia has done a great job. Indiana Wesleyan is in that league now and going to be tough. But on the Midwest, there's a lot of parity, and that's exciting. That's exciting for us. We played all last year, including St. Xavier, that really we were in every ball game. It was a 1 or 2 score game, and a lot of them came down to the fourth quarter where we're in it, have chances to make plays. So we've got to finish games. We've got to be a little more competitive. But you're right. This is a great opportunity for us opening against a team that is number 2 in our league in the preseason poll. Coach Heyman up there has done a great job. Olivet was always kind of in the middle to bottom, when we were in the league and even a little bit before, but he's done a great job and has them in the upper half. And I think they believe that that's where they belong, and that's great. That's where they should, and I think our guys are believing that we're not second from bottom. And so the only way to fix that is to go out and prove it on the field. But, every week in the Midwest, it's anybody's game. And that's it. That's exciting.
And so, Coach, with that, I think the big question that Spartan fans have, because let's just face it, there was a lot of fireworks on offense last year. And I was telling Brad before the broadcast that there was 4 weeks in a row where our offense was ranked in the top 7 in total offense efficiency. And with that, I'm just looking at the numbers right now. You have the departure of John Lux, threw for over 2,000 yards, 16 touchdowns. Obviously, the All-American honorable mention for the NAIA is Isaiah King, 1,000-yard receiver, 9 touchdowns. The bulldozer, Chris Baldwin, had 10 rushing touchdowns, and Darian Polian on the opposite side of Isaiah put up 5 touchdowns. So when you add up the touchdowns, you have 5, 9, 14 plus 10. That's 24 touchdowns between 3 guys, which makes up over 70% of all the touchdowns you scored. The question we have is, what's your answer to that starting in 2021?
I think we talked about this before, is that we don't have an answer for that, and honestly, you're leaving out the touchdowns by Anthony Taeli too, because Anthony is not with us in the spring, because he's got a medical issue that he's dealing with, that he'll be back in the fall, but he's not able to be with us in the spring. So that's even more. That's 90 to 95% of our offense when you look at last year. We're not going to replace that. I mean, we're not going to replace that right now. I think the reality is we've got something I'm really excited about is we don't maybe have that guy that's going to jump off the page like an Isaiah or an Anthony or a Chris Baldwin or something like that. We had some weapons that we can move the ball around to that. But I think we've got really the most amount of depth at those positions than we've ever had. They may not be the showstopper that Isaiah was, at least right now. I think we got some young guys that are continually getting better. And just like Isaiah, right? Isaiah was a really good receiver as a freshman, but nothing compared to what he was last year. The plays that he made last year was just phenomenal. So we've got a lot of young guys that are new, that have a lot of years ahead of them in our offense, that it's gonna be really exciting to watch them. But we've got great depth, so we don't have to worry about like, hey, we got to get the ball to this one or two guys as much. It's running back wise, we've got a lot of depth. We got 4 or 5 guys at running back that could come in and get the job done at any time. We've got guys at the wide receiver position. Josh Munn is doing a great job at quarterback, puts in a ton of work. So it's the unknown, and we'll have to see how it plays out throughout the spring. But the great thing is that this is a great opportunity for them to get a lot of games and game experience, what we call get on the job training, right? So we'll see. I think even for us as coaches, it's a lot of unknowns about where we are as an offense because of the new faces.
Coach, last year, maybe the best part about team outside of the big offensive numbers early was the pass defense. It was incredible. Number 3 ranked pass defense in the country, 140 yards per game you're only giving up. How important is that to you guys this year to keep that momentum going?
Well, it's really important. And one thing I say this to Guy a lot, and Brad, you understand this because this is where you make your living, is stats can tell whatever story you want them to tell, right? And you can make them look really good, and you can also, they can also look really bad. And what I've challenged our defense and our defensive staff with is that's a great stat to have, be number 3 in pass defense. And I think we've got our secondary is definitely a strong suit for us. But on the flip side, it really doesn't mean anything unless we're the number 3 or 4 total defense, right? Because what that means is that teams are having such success running the ball that they're not having to throw, and that makes your numbers look better, right? So, we've got to be better against the run, I think, and then that's going to look really good. If we're giving up 140 or less yards through the air, and we're giving up, 100 or less on the ground, our total defense is going to be up there. And when your total defense is in the top, 10, 15 in the country, you're winning football games, So we get a lot of those guys back, and our defense is where there's a lot of veteran guys. We have a few young guys, but the secondary by and large is back. And I'm telling you, seeing them every day since August, going through 20 some practices in the fall and starting here and building up to this game, man, I'm so tired of seeing those guys because they just give us fits. They're fast, they're strong, they're physical. They do so much different stuff that it keeps you off balance. So thing I've talked to Coach Bowden about is like, if we are sound in what we do and they know what to do and can play this fast, man, our defense is going to be really, really good.
Absolutely. And I think you might, Coach, even have, perhaps, I'll say it on air here, a couple of All-American watches in both Michael Malone, the cornerback, as well as Jalen Cowley. Jalen's been a standout ever since he was a freshman. And I want to actually bring up one other aspect to the team that I think is also very exciting for the Spartans in 2021, and that is kind of your kickoff returns. With Mike Malone and even Jordan Benavides, who stepped in last year, returned also one for a touchdown. Speak to the dynamic that has on your team, knowing that whether you're in a punt return situation or definitely a kick return situation, as most of the year last year in yard returns, Michael Malone was number 1 in the NAIA until at the very end of the season, where he ended up, not ranking number 1. He took number 4.
Yeah, well, we talk a lot about situational football, and we spend a lot of time looking at stats and different things, numbers in the off season about, what is your percentage of scoring when you're in different field zones and different areas on the field. And there's no doubt, like if we're able to start at the 30 or the 35 or 40 rather than the 20, then our chances of scoring go up, and vice versa. I think the percentage of wins, when you win a game, if you score on special teams, your percentage ticks up to like 60 or 65% or higher of winning that game. So having that weapon back there is huge. It's something that it keeps other coaches up at night. When you got a dynamic weapon back there, they start adjusting to where they're okay. We're going to kick away from them. Maybe you pooch kick or something like that. And that's all fine, because if they're doing that, then we're going to get really good starting field position as it is. So it's definitely a nice thing to have that weapon back there. And Mike does a great job. He can break the game open at any moment.
Yeah. So, Coach, the way I look at it right now is that there's a lot going on with COVID. I do want to go back to that a little bit because this is going to be the first time in college football history, for the most part, that you're going to be playing in spring. And I think the way I look at it is, how is this going to affect your guys in fall, playing a full season in the spring and then all of a sudden having to try to recharge their batteries in half the time and getting back out there in the fall?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, again, that's one of those unknowns that we don't really know. I've been asked that a lot throughout recruiting, but my opinion is that the guys who love it, and that's something we talk a lot about, they're going to be recharged and ready to go. They're not getting a full season. We don't even know what this spring is going to look like. Are we going to lose a game here or there because maybe us or an opponent has an issue that the game gets postponed and maybe there's not a week to reschedule it. So we're taking 1 week at a time. From a physical and body standpoint, I think they'll recover because they're going to have probably about 4 months off by the time we're done in early April, and you got May, June, July. They're going to have time to recover and get healed up and all that. And, I think that they'll be chomping at the bit to get back on the field and ready to go. It's similar to what happens in spring ball, so typically we're done in November. You got December, January, February, and then March, they're chomping at the bit to get pads back on with spring ball. And the neat thing now is when those pads get back on, then we're back at it for real. So it could be a really good thing, but I'm sure that there's going to be some that are like, wow, this came around really fast and we're back at the grind. But football players in general, their grind never stops anyway. A lot of the athletes nowadays, whether you're football, soccer, basketball, doesn't matter. They're 24/7 year-round athletes anyway.
So as we begin to start to wrap up our coaches show, I want to actually ask Brad a question first, then obviously Coach will finish with you. But Brad, what does it mean to you coming back to MBU, which you spent 7 years of your career? I obviously got involved with the Spartan Digital Network because of you. I'm always so grateful and thankful for that. But what's it like? What's it mean to you coming back here to Spartan Field and being up there? You're going to be doing the home opener, making the call.
I thought this was a coach's show, not a Brad question show. I didn't expect that. Yeah, look, MoBAP has a really special place in my heart. Had a lot of big pieces of my career there, and seeing the stadium open for the first time is really important to me. I mean, that's been a project that's been a long time coming. A project that I took part in, and seeing it actually come to fruition is a big deal for me. Coming back and watching this football team as I have grow from day one until now, and getting a chance to be a part of a big historical moment for this team, it is a big deal for me. So this is exciting. I was thrilled to be invited back. And getting a different perspective now, working at the NAI, working football national championships, seeing teams from all across the country in our association. It's neat to be able to come back and see how Missouri Baptist functions and all the great things that they've been doing. Just talking about the field today, talking about this game is getting me really excited. And there's not a lot that is going to get me super motivated to go do extra work on the weekends, especially now with all the stuff we've got going on here at the NAIA. But this was one that I couldn't pass up. I'm excited.
Well, we're excited. Obviously, I'm excited to be in the booth with me again, back to the old times. And then, Coach, as you know, we've got a brand new set of fans. We had brand new Spartans. A lot have been waiting a long time to play, and what can the Spartan fans expect certainly this Saturday?
Well, we're gonna be ready. We're gonna be ready to go. Our guys can't wait to get out there and play on our field. I think Brad hit the nail on the head. This is a long time coming. We've got, I don't know how many of them will be able to work out to get tickets, but we've had several former players that are like, "Hey, coach, if I could be there, I'd love to be there," and we're going to try and make that happen. Every player's been given 2 tickets, and I know not everybody's using them, so we're going to try and get a few of them back. Because guys like Austin Schultz and Keenan Savage and Connor Bomstead and some of these guys that are around the area, it means a lot to them to see the Spartans run out on their own field. And yeah, it's going to be a cool deal. I kind of sitting here kind of like Brad, just getting a little emotional about just the fact that we get to do that for the first time. And, I don't care what the weather is. I think it's going to be fun. And then, getting Brad back for it is really cool too, because, he's first guy, honestly, like on press on the day that they announced that he walks in, hands me a helmet and makes it real, so it's going to be a really cool day, and just looking forward to it. But, at the end of the day, all that aside, we got to go out and put a good product out on the field, no matter what the weather, no matter what the field conditions are. And I think our guys are set to do that. And we've spent a lot of time talking about it.
Absolutely. Brad, any final word?
I'm just disappointed we didn't do our field a little bit differently. Lindenwood Belleville was a great model for that. So they're not here anymore. I can say that.
Hashtag Candy Stripe, I believe you went with it. Just saying. So with that, Coach, we are just chomping at the bit to see the Spartans coming onto our home field for the first time in school history. And I know that you're going to have this team ready to go, fired up, and be not going to just be out there, playing like good old fashioned football, right? Pounding the pads. That's the kind of stuff that we love. You're from Colorado, so you know what this weather's all about. And it doesn't matter the weather. Look, you've been practicing in it. Our guys will be ready. So we just cannot wait to see the Spartans take the field at 11 a.m. this Saturday. So for Brad Cygan,
one quick thing I'm going to add just to the fans.
Yeah.
Fans that watching at home and listening to you guys on the broadcast, they're just going to have to take your word that it is actually our field. Because I don't know if you'll see a logo or anything like that, but they'll just have to take our word that it is actually our field. All right.
You're telling me the big Spartan helmets has snow on it?
There's a little bit of snow out there yet. So
hey, you tell Coach Kern get out there, shovel that thing off.
Well, we're trying to get Coach Coe and Coach Kern because they're full of hot air anyway. But we're just trying to, get all that folk in one area. I don't know. We'll see what we can do.
Oh my gosh. You can tell you guys have been waiting to play a game because it's way too long since your last one. So it's all going to kick off in just a few minutes. We want to thank everyone for watching the MBU Football Coaches Show. For Brad Cygan and Coach B, I am Guy Danhoff, and looking forward to the kickoff at 11 a.m. right here at Spartan Field on the Spartan Digital Network.